Number 1. The Hongqi S9. The S9 is a collaboration between a Chinese automaker and an Italian design firm. Top speed is estimated to be above 250 miles per hour. 2. The Isdera Commendatore GT. It's a gull-wing electric car which is built in Germany, sold in China, and debuted in 2018. Only 2 have been built since then. Elation Freedom. Unsurprisingly, this 1400 horsepower electric car is built in the USA. Delage D12. A 990 horsepower V12 French car with the most unique steering wheel ever made. The Jannarelly Design-1. Fully analog, mid-engined, and limited to 499 production models. The Rodin FZERO is a wild road-legal F1 car with a V10 motor and a 3D printed gearbox. Lafitte G-Tech X-Road. Off-road monster, 720 horsepower beast, Lamborghini Urus killer. 8. The Raesr Tachyon. This wild street-legal one-seater is an all-electric hypercar making 1250 horsepower. The Magnum MK5. A Canadian carbon fiber race car powered by a Hayabusa motor and costing over $100,000. The Spyker C8. Spyker is a Dutch sports car brand, and the C8 is probably their most well-known model, a classy luxury exotic powered by an Audi V8, which can reportedly hit a top speed of 186 miles per hour. The Vito S1, an ethanol-powered mid-engine sports car from Brazil. MCV CH4. With a price tag of $250,000, it's really no surprise that this twin-turbocharged Canadian supercar didn't survive past the 90s. The Baltasar Revolt, however, is still in production today, and Baltasar claims it's the world's first track-day electric super sports car. It makes 500 horsepower and can accelerate 0 to 60 in 2.5 seconds. Bizzarrini BZ-2001. How about some Italian engineering? The BZ-2001 is based on the Ferrari Testarossa, except redesigned to look more like a Chrysler Crossfire widebody. Thank God only one was ever made. 15. The Aria FXE. If you're looking for a more attractive option than the Bizzarrini, this 1100 horsepower hybrid from California seems much better in every aspect. The Automobili Estrema Fulminea is expected to be unveiled in September 2021. It should make over 2,000 horsepower from its innovative hybrid battery made of lithium-ion cells, solid-state electrolytes, and ultracapacitors. MAT Stratos. Designed as a tribute to the Lancia Stratos, this build is based on the Ferrari F430 and costs somewhere over $500,000. Pambuffetti PJ-01. An Italian hypercar that's designed to mimic the feel of a Formula 1 car. It was unveiled in 2021 and is powered by a mid-engined, naturally aspirated V10. The Ascari KZ1. Sporting Peugeot headlights and a BMW V8, the KZ1 had a top speed of 200 miles per hour. Etox Zafer. It's Turkish, it's diesel, and it makes 125 horsepower. Zinger 21C. This road-legal race car was designed and built in California. It has a twin-turbo V8 and was made with some innovative 3D printing and artificial intelligence technology that's way too smart for me to understand. 22. Irmscher Inspiro. Number 23. The Vinci GT. This Portuguese sports car is based on the Corvette C5 and looks like a Ferrari. Zagato Iso Rivolta GTZ. Also based on the Corvette, the GTZ had a top speed around 195 miles per hour, and honors the Le Mans winning A3C that came before it. The Sbarro Renner is a one-off concept made as a modern interpretation of the Porsche 904. Hispano Suiza Carmen. The Spanish hypercar brand sells this luxury coupe alongside an exposed carbon fiber variant called the Carmen Ballon. The Hopium Machina. It's a French hydrogen-powered sedan that makes 500 horsepower. Gillet Vertigo. This Belgian supercar at one point held the world record for fastest accelerating car, at 3.2 seconds 0 to 60 in 1994. It's still in production today. Arash AF10, a mid-engined hybrid hypercar making 2,000 horsepower. Adamastor P003RL. P stands for prototype and RL stands for road legal. This open-top roadster is offered with a Toyota V6 or a Ford Inline-4. The Prato Orage, a French exotic based on the C6 Corvette. It's reported to cost around $955,000. Scora LC01. Basically nothing is known about this car. It was likely made in the early 2000s and sold in the UK. Aries S1. Naturally aspirated V8, 715 horsepower, 0 to 60 in 2.7 seconds. It's a true Italian supercar, hiding a C8 Corvette underneath. OnlyOne P8. It's based on the Ferrari F430, and yes, only one was ever made. Kepler MOTION. Named after the famed astronomer, the Motion is an 800 horsepower American hybrid exotic. The Windbooster Titan. This is a Chinese-made all-electric supercar which produces around 540 horsepower. The design is clearly inspired by the McLaren P1. Bandini Dora. It's also electric, and it also makes around 540 horsepower, but the Italian design by GFG is definitely more attractive. The Phantom Vortex. Offered in many iterations throughout the past 10 years, the Vortex GT, GT EV, GTT, and others were sold both as turnkey and kit cars. 0 to 60 for the faster models was estimated at 4 seconds. Sbarro Renner. I already included a Sbarro earlier in this list, but the Swiss brand just makes way too many unique concepts not to include another. This Renner was designed and built in just 47 days, and it makes 155 horsepower. The Mole Luce is based on the Tesla Roadster. Its bodywork is made out of fully recyclable material, and the electric drivetrain produces 288 horsepower. AC378 GT Zagato. Built on an aluminum frame and sporting a 430 horsepower V8, the 378 GT went on sale in 2012 for $145,000. Sadly, it was not very successful and only a handful were made. The Arcfox GT. Hailing from China, it's a 1600 horsepower all-electric hypercar. Weissmann Spider, a German design concept with a top speed of 180 miles per hour. FV Frangivento Sorpasso. It's Italian, and it's offered in 2 configurations, the Stradale and the GTXX. The more powerful GT has a supercharged V10 that can reach 214 miles per hour and 0 to 60 in 2.9 seconds. The Mazzanti Ivantra is also Italian, and is sold in a wide range of models making between 750 and 1200 horsepower. Hexagon Furtive EGT, 4-seater, 400 horsepower, $400,000. Monteverdi High 450. Designed in traditional 70s styling, this Swiss exotic has an exposed Chrysler V8 in the back seat. TVR Speed 12. This is a high-performance endurance racing version of the British manufacturer's more tame TVR Cerbera. It was powered by a 7.7-liter V12 making 800 rear-wheel horsepower, but was deemed too dangerous to drive on the road. Elibria Equivias, I think that's what it's called, and it looks exactly like the name sounds. This concept from Qatar was supposed to be built on a carbon fiber monocoque and produce 700 horsepower, but it doesn't seem like any were ever made. Radical RXC, a track-built British race car which also happens to be street legal, somehow. Vector W8, an American-made 600 horsepower wedge straight from the 1990s. Vector made a lot of big claims for their car but struggled to live up to them. It's a fascinating brand that I'd love to cover more in the future. Delanda Demon GT. Another mystery car with very little information. It's mid-engined, Australian, and was later developed into the more well-known AJF1 by refrigeration engineer Daryl Barnett. The Hueliez Pregunta was made as a collaboration between Lamborghini and one-off French coach builder Hueliez. It's based on the Lamborghini Diablo. Equus Throwback. Built on a C7 Corvette, the Throwback is intended to portray the ultimate version of the American muscle car. ATS GT. It has a carbon fiber chassis and body and was limited to just 12 production units, each costing around $850,000. The Italian brand also sells a RR turbo model for only $150,000, though it's far less powerful. Hos JT1. With a steel frame and fiberglass body, the JT1 wasn't particularly innovative, and the Australian company never managed to get off the ground. FBS Sensus. Well, bit of a stretch to call this a supercar actually. Keating Berus. Named after a venomous snake, the Berus is designed to resemble a viper from the front. It can also go 230 miles per hour. The VMAC RD200, a small Japanese coupe powered by a Honda K20. Ulf Sensor GTR. This is a Swedish V8 with 450 horsepower and a rear design like the McLaren F1. Mastretta MXT is a tiny Mexican exotic making 250 horsepower. Inferno Automobili is a larger Mexican exotic making 1400 horsepower. The Spice TC522 is a twin turbocharged V8 straight out of 1990s Germany. Mega Monte Carlo, For a car unveiled in 1996, the Monte Carlo was incredibly well designed on paper. It had a carbon fiber chassis, Mercedes V12, and surprisingly attractive exterior. Weber Faster 1. It's been around since 2008, but has thankfully seen several redesigns since then. The goal is a lofty 250 miles per hour top speed. Morked Haidete. A Moroccan supercar with butterfly doors, no headlights, and an electric powertrain. I don't think it ever went into production. The BRM Banshee is an Australian track car that makes a respectable 367 horsepower from a Hayabusa powertrain. Lyon's LM2. Hailing from Lyon's motor car, the LM2 Streamliner first debuted at the 2015 New York Auto Show. It's come a long way since then, and the brand still promises a 1700 horsepower V8 and 0 to 60 in 2 seconds or better. DF Autosport 240R, an open-top track car from New Zealand. Nice. Ortega Scalo Super Elettra. Limited to just 50 all-electric models, the German and Italian supercar is said to make 1020 horsepower. Ligier JS2R. A French race car that looks like a mix between a Ferrari F12 and a Ford Mustang, oddly enough. VDS GT001. Surprisingly, the GT001 is based on the Gillet Vertigo mentioned earlier. I think it's far more attractive. Chalet N360. A custom-built, Hayabusa-powered fiberglass track car from the UAE, also available with Corvette headlights. RMC Scorpion. A hydrogen-powered supercar with a V6, 450 horsepower, and 40 mpg. Magnate P708 Barchetta. A true manual transmission exotic with a naturally aspirated 7-liter V8 and a carbon fiber body. Tech Rules AT96 TREV. TREV stands for Turbine Recharging Electric Vehicle. It has a 96,000 RPM turbine mounted above the rear electric motors to help charge the battery pack and extend range. KTM GT2. The Austrian motorcycle manufacturer KTM now sells a 600 horsepower GT2 race car. E-Wolf Alpha 2. An electric car from Germany which was introduced in 2009. It makes 375 horsepower. Celero R6.3. One of the many cars on this list that is based on the Chevy Corvette. Wingo W3 Triposto, not to be confused with Wigo. This is a 3-seater open-top sports car based on the Porsche 911. Peroidian 1 megawatt. Designed and built in Finland, it's a street-legal prototype producing 1 megawatt of power, or roughly 1300 horsepower. Liger 1.4. Again, not much is known about this roadster prototype. It was probably powered by a 4-cylinder and built in the Czech Republic. Angler Super Quad, a weird cross between the V10 Audi R8 with motorcycle-style controls. Automatic Can-Am. From New Zealand, it's a road-legal limited edition exotic capable of 200 miles per hour. Para Corotronco TS1. V8 powered and made of aluminum and carbon fiber, with a fully adjustable suspension system. Arera SD Plus will become the first Albanian supercar when it's fully released in 2022. It'll be powered by an 1800 horsepower V8. Piek Mark Zero. I don't really know how to pronounce this one, nor any of the other cars on this list, but it's a gorgeous Swiss electric car capable of 0 to 60 in 3.2 seconds. Onuk Sezon LM. A Turkish supercar with an LS7 powertrain. The Doni Rosette. From Brazil, this exotic has a carbon fiber body and a Dodge Viper V10. Pulse GT1. A unique track car with a central driver's position. Contera MD1 is another central driver's track car, but costs only $80,000. It was inspired by Group C race cars and is street legal as well. Protoscar Lampo 3. This Swiss 2x2 Targa is fully electric and makes 560 horsepower. Yamaha OX9911. You've probably heard of Yamaha motorcycles and musical instruments, but I bet you haven't heard of the OX9911. It was powered by a detuned Formula 1 V12, but never made it far into production due to financial concerns. Dubuque Tomahawk. A blunt little electric 4-seater from Canada. 0 to 60 in 2 seconds thanks to 800 horsepower. UEV Electrum Spider. With a removable hardtop, all-electric powertrain, and 250-mile range, the Electrum was pretty rad back in 2007. Shadow Sorrento. It looks pretty janky, and it's powered by a 300-horsepower Jaguar V12. Motormind Hyperion 1. An open-air Indian sports car that's powered by a V6 from the Hyundai Sonata. Hoffman Novag HN R200 Nonfiction. Yes, nonfiction is actually part of the name. It's based on the Audi R8 and is from the Czech Republic. The Ajlani Dracuma. A 1200 horsepower twin turbocharged prototype from the Middle East. Last but not least, the Traci Berardo. It's based on the BMW i8, but covers the German electric car with an Italian-designed aluminum exterior and wood interior. And that concludes our list of 100 unreal obscure supercars that you've never heard of, most of which I probably mispronounced. Which ones did you know about, and which were your favorites? Let me know down in the comments section below, and subscribe if you want to see any of these exotics covered more in the future. Special thanks to Obscure Supercars on Twitter for helping me put this list together. They've got a great page I really recommend checking out, so I'll leave a link in the video description below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.